Okay, so for the next project, here's a raw piece of white cedar. It's about a little over 10 inches, and I've sketched out sort of where I want the Santa to be, and if you notice, I've kind of taken advantage of where the knots are down here. So this is going to be the trunk of the tree. This is going to be the top of the tree, kind of like a ball. Rough idea. I've got another knot there. I'm going to try to get the arm underneath that. And got some little ones back here. So all in all, not too bad, but you always got something with this stuff. Okay, so just to see where the shoulders go, sometimes I line up one of my other Santas, notch it out where the shoulders go. And then, of course, I use my Automach tool, that I love. So what I need to do is bring the face back. So I need to take off wood here, here, and here. Okay, so you can see this thing really blows a lot of wood out real quick, and it kind of saves your arms because, I've got this, but that's how I used to do it back when I was about 15 years younger, and the Automach tool works out a lot better. Plus the dogs love to chew on the chips here. And, okay, so back to this. I need to sketch in some of the details. Like that, reestablish the hat line. This is just rough. So the idea is, I need to have the head back a little bit because the way I carve, I like to have the details more prominent. So a little bit more with this I think I need to take out. Okay. Reestablish the headline for the cat. Like this. Again, this is just rough work at this stage. I think on this one I'm going to have a little tassel that hangs down, something like this. Okay, so the next object is going to be kind of fine-tuning that a little bit with this. I want to make sure that I've really shaped this head out a little bit better. And I'm going to work on that, get the shoulders established, kind of figure out exactly where I want this hat line to go. And then I'm going to take the large gouge that I've got, and then just kind of establish the top of the hat line. And then I'm going to come in with this. I'm going to work against that stop cut. And I'm going to try to more or less have this band of the hat be prominent and take it down about an eighth or so of an inch. And then I'm going to come back, sketch in the eyes, the nose, and start to work on that. Okay, so you can see what he looks like now. I took the V-gouge, got this carved out around the tassel. That looks pretty good. So the next thing is to, by the way, you can see where this thing had a massive crack in it right here. And I used some of that Gorilla Glue. I just kept pouring it in, and even then, it all didn't make it down here, but enough of it did to where it's going to hold it together. And then the Gorilla filler, wood filler, which is kind of a weird product. It's kind of grainy, but when it's done, I'll push that into this crack, and that the combination seems to work really good. So anyway, I'm going to create a better stop cut here. Just carefully roll this around like that. Might as well do this part. Okay, and then kind of like I mentioned, I'm going to take this tool and then just kind of work against that line all the way around. And basically I need to do that even in here. I need to establish a new level. That's kind of going to look like this in terms of depth. So that's about, I don't know, an eighth of an inch has got to come off all the way around. So that's the next step. Okay, so far so good. So I used this gouge to basically take off an eighth of an inch, and in the process I wanted symmetry, so when I carve the face I don't have to worry about that. So I kind of evened up this side and this side just to make sure I had some good symmetry. And then of course at the same time you got to look at this head and say, okay, if I take this in another quarter inch, is it going to be the right dimension? And I think that looks good. So penciled in the eye line, I've got the nose, mustache. Then I'm going to use this gouge, which is my 70 degree by a quarter, and like you've seen me do before, I'm just going to come in here and create that T shape. Like this. Got a thinner gouge that I might do the bottom of the nose. Grab that gouge. And the whole time, of course, you're trying to make things as symmetrical as possible. So far, so good. So back to this narrow gouge. Work the line by the nose. Stop cut at the bottom of the nose. So you can kind of see the shape taking place here. So once I get that done, then I'm going to come in here with this tool and I'm going to carve just above the bridge of the nose, and that's going to come down an eighth. So I'm going to keep working at it. Doesn't look like much, but eventually they kind of pop out. So if you notice, I kind of did the axis a little bit. So here's the center line right here. So this thing is going to have a little bit of a gaze looking off into this direction as opposed to straight ahead. But keep on carving and I'll show you what he looks like. Okay, so the next step is going to be coming in here like this, as you guys have seen me do. Now I want this to be kind of flat, so come in here like that. I want that to be flat because that's where the eye is going to get carved in. Okay, so the same thing on the other side, then I got to look at it again and make sure I'm not going too wide with the head. Okay, so this is what Santa looks like so far. And, you know, I've got a lot of room here. I could make big eyes, or I chose the size that I've got here. But I want to take that back a little bit more. Like this. Take the edge, reform that just a little bit. He's still looking a little rough, but you get there on this guy. So the next step that I'm going to do is go around that eye line with this really, I think it's a 2mm gouge. And then on the bottom side, once I got that done, I'm going to use this to shape the lower eyelid on both sides. And then I'm going to follow up that cut that I did with this, primarily the first cut. I'm going to follow that up with a little bit more of a stop cut. I'm going to go around it like this. I'm going to use a combination of this and this tool and kind of chop out the corners and then shape the eye with this. Okay, so I've done that part. You can see they're not the same, so I need to come in here and kind of even them up a little bit. Take that little piece out. Piece. The width is good on this, but this is where I've got to get in here with this tool. Kind of take out. Again, you want it as symmetrical as you can. Just kind of shape it up a little bit. Same thing over here. For symmetry. Still might come back to that, but it's actually not looking too bad. Smoothing things up a little bit. Smoothing this up. Not too bad. This is a tiny bit to symmetry there. I'm going to do a little more with this notch right here on the side too. This this little U-gouge, which is kind of nice for getting in here. Okay. You know, I'm never quite done with some of these pieces. I always come back as I'm working on them. Just clean it up with this tool a little bit. Could give them a little bit of hair in here too. You could do something like that. Not too hard to do. Glue gouge. Run it up with this tool. Basically a stop cut. Okay. So the next part is to follow the side of the mustache. Create these side lines. Take out a little bit. Do the same thing with this mustache. And then at that point, I usually check my watch and see if it's coffee time. And then just kind of keep working down. So far so good, guys. Don't mind the fact that he's still a little bit rough in here. You know, like I said, little notch there, it looks nice. Just keep cleaning them up as I kind of move along. As I see things that need to be smoothed out, just take care of that. And I'll probably come in here with this little tool, which I'll do it right now, and give him a lower eyelid, like that. Okay. His wood chips out of his eyes. Okay, again, in here you can see it's really just constantly looking at him, cleaning up different areas. But that's the general idea. I can probably, you can see I've taken it in a little bit on this cap. Probably work on that. Take the cap in a little bit. Okay. So like I was saying, the next step is this gouge right here. Looks like a 70° by 1/8 of an inch. You can't really see this line. If I can't see it, I know you guys can't see it. So just reestablish this line. Make sure the width here is good. This side. Check it out. And then you use this to do both the mustache and the top of the mustache. Okay, making some progress on this Santa. So I've gone around the beard like this, and I've notched in where I want the elbows to be, the inside of the elbows. I used this just to part some of the material down here like that. Same thing over here. Underneath this arm, came back on the other side like a stop cut, clean that out, defined the Christmas tree over here. So the next thing I need to do is just kind of, I want a little bit more of an indent in here. Something on this side, over here. about this white cedar is it's a little bit on the chippy side, as you can see. But overall, it's actually, once you get to kind of know the wood, it's not too bad to work with. Still want to create a little more flatness coming into here. This wood also was treated with that wood juice. I'll put the link in there. I think it's pretty good stuff. Even though I did have a split over here with white cedar, it can be far worse than that. So I think it's a pretty good product for what it cost. And I think I let it, once I put it on, I let it, I think they believe that it's better if it marinates in it, you know, for a while. I basically painted it on like 2 or 3 times. And then I just let it dry in, you know, and just kind of kept rolling the blocks over just to make sure that it dried, and, you know, painted it again. I think I might have painted it 3 times, but it nonetheless did seem to help, even though I did get this split. So I'm going to keep working with this and clean it up. Pencil in my cuffs again. Now I've got to think about some other ways that I might want to, I guess you would say, bling this thing up. So do I want like a ribbon coming around here? I could have it, you know, underneath it would wrap around this way, which you wouldn't see. That would come out over here. Do anything I want it to do. Anything you want. I mean, if you can think it, you can generally carve it. So this could be a ribbon coming around, and it could have peace, kind of pertinent this day and age. So what's going on? Noel, or something like that. Joy, if you will. But still looking rough, Santa, but I think you're coming around pretty good. You know, I did add this little notch up in here. I'll probably make a star out of this knot. See how that goes. But yeah, I think the old boy's coming along pretty good. So far I'm still sticking with the shoes down here. See how that works out. I've got to come in here with this big gouge, clean this out down here. Get my big tool out over here, the Automach, take a little bit of this off the back, clean it up into here with the Automach. Gets rid of that real quick. So, all in all, pretty good. Okay, this was coming along pretty good. I carved out a little bit of a star up here. Kind of got the arms worked out with a elbow here. Of course, I'll bring this up probably somewhere up in here. So the next step is to just kind of get rid of all of this stuff. It's got a little bit of a hump back here, but I think that'll be all right. Okay, so the next step is going to be putting the cuffs in over here. And can't forget about this. I've got this ribbon that comes around here and comes out down here. So I'm just going to clean up all this stuff. Kind of get in there with something like this. Just work against that cut. Clean it up a little bit. But altogether, he's coming along pretty good. Okay. Meanwhile, back in the carving corner, here's what I've done. So I've undercut this area underneath the robe. Left a little bit of wood in there for the feet. And I've kind of shaved this back with the with that grinder tool. Just kind of recess that about 1/4 or 3/8, something like that. Kind of bring it back down. Kind of redefine this edge a little bit. Obviously undercut in here. I added some sort of ripples, I guess you would call it. And I used both of these gouges. Alternatively, that one, just to kind of get in there a little bit. So the next step is I've gone around with this gouge and I've carved this out. And then I went through and just did a stop cut like this. So now I'm going to clean it up. Just get in there and clean it up like that. Okay, so I'll do that all the way up. I've got to decide on what I want this to say so that I can carve it in. And then typically, because the beard's got this in here, it's kind of hard to do texture around that. So I'm going to have to figure out what kind of beard texture I'm going to have. A variety of things that I can do, but I'm going to wait and see how that turns out. But all in all, he's coming out, turning out pretty good. I think it'll be a nice Santa. Another stop cut on this ribbon. Like that. And get in there with that tool and clean it out a little bit. But, yeah, I think all in all, he's looking pretty good. I think he'll be a decent Santa. This is, I probably should have done a video on this one. This is one, here's some of the lettering that I did. So on this Santa, again, it's a white cedar Santa. And you can see him holding this tree. So he's got the sort of the base, the stump of the Christmas tree right here. He's got his arm around it. And this one's got the ribbon that kind of comes through like that. And you can see some of that filler that I've had to put in here. But this guy turned out pretty good too. All sorts of fun stuff here going on. Okay, so this is what the Santa looks like so far. I was just kind of cleaning up a little bit in here. The star on the top, it's got the knot in the middle. I've also got a knot down here, which is the base of the tree. Ended up carving a little bit of sort of undercutting in here for the robe, just to show the feet a little bit more. I think he looks pretty good. He's got a nice banner here, a little bit of a fern motif on this. And here's the part that says joy. Altogether, it turned out pretty good. This looks like it is deep, but it's already been sealed with that Gorilla Glue that I use. I might go ahead and just rub in some of that Gorilla Glue or that Gorilla product filler, wood filler in here, just to kind of take care of whatever little bit might be left. But that is the back. There's the side. The front again, a little bit of an offset. Instead of him looking straight ahead, he's looking a little bit more to the right, my right. But that's it. So now the next step is obviously to get him painted. So stay tuned. Okay, so a little bit of a surprise here. I did finish this Santa, and I think he turned out pretty good. Got a little bit of like a fern motif on the one ribbon there. Star turned out nice. Face looks pretty good. Gave him a little bit of hair in the top. A little bit of texture on the robe there. bit of undercutting down in there. Yeah, so all in all, I think he turned out pretty good. Give you an idea of what he looks like. There's that knot that was on the side. And here's another one that I just finished. This one's got a bag full of gifts. A little bit of holly at the top there. And again, this one was done in white cedar. And here is another Santa. This one has Peace and Noel with a bittersweet motif around the bottom. And kind of a nice looking face there. Good morning. It's almost like these things do have a little, I swear they talk to each other at night sometimes. I don't know, I'm not 100% on that, but here's another one that's got Joy and Noel. The ribbon on the base there that looks pretty good. Look at the eyes there. Okay, so all in all, turned out pretty good. And we're off to the next project, folks.